Welcome to Miss Scarlett. Subscribe and don't miss out on Patreon. Have fun! The early September sun cast long shadows across the bustling college campus as students rushed to and fro, clutching schedules and maps. Amid the chaos of the first week, two figures collided outside the student center, sending papers and books scattering across the concrete. "Oh man, I'm so sorry!" The taller of the two scrambled to gather the fallen items. "I wasn't watching where I was going at all. No worries, it's total madness out here." The other student knelt to help, scooping up loose sheets covered in class information. Their eyes met as they stood, and for a moment, time seemed to slow. There was a flash of recognition, a sense of kinship neither could quite place. "I'm Josue," the taller one said, extending a hand. "Freshman, majoring in computer science." "Martin," came the reply, along with a firm handshake. "Also a freshman, English Lit." They lingered for a moment, neither quite ready to part ways. "Hey, you wouldn't happen to know where Pearson Hall is, would you?" Josue asked. "I've got Calc 101 in 10 minutes and I'm completely lost." Martin's face lit up. "Actually, that's where I'm headed too. Different class, but same building. Want to walk together?" "Absolutely," Josue replied with obvious relief. "Lead the way." As they navigated the winding paths between academic buildings, the conversation flowed easily. They discovered they were both from small towns, the first in their families to attend college. By the time they reached Pearson Hall, it felt as though they'd known each other for years rather than minutes. "We should grab coffee sometime," Martin suggested as they prepared to head to their respective classrooms. Compare notes on surviving freshman year. "Definitely," Josue agreed with a grin. "How about tomorrow afternoon? I'm free after 2. Perfect. Meet you at the campus coffee shop?" With a nod and a wave, they parted ways, each feeling as though they'd just stumbled upon something special. The next afternoon found them tucked into a cozy corner of the bustling coffee shop, steaming mugs in hand as they swapped stories of their first few days on campus. "I swear, I've never felt so out of place," Josue confessed, absently stirring his latte. "It's like everyone else got some secret manual on how to be a college student and I missed the memo." Martin nodded emphatically. "God, yes. I keep waiting for someone to realize I don't belong here and kick me out." "Exactly." Josue leaned forward, eyes bright. "But hey, at least we can be lost together, right?" "Strength in numbers," Martin agreed with a laugh. As the weeks passed, Josue and Martin became inseparable. They studied together in the library, shared meals in the dining hall, and spent countless hours exploring the campus and surrounding town. Their friend groups gradually merged, with Josue and Martin at the center. One crisp October evening, they sprawled on the floor of Josue's dorm room, textbooks and notes spread around them as they prepared for midterms. Martin sighed heavily, tossing aside a well-worn copy of The Canterbury Tales. "Can we take a break? My brain is turning to mush." Josue glanced up from a tangle of computer code. "Sure. What do you want to do?" Martin hesitated, then reached for his backpack. "Actually, there's something I've been wanting to talk to you about. Something I haven't told anyone else." Josue set aside his laptop, giving Martin his full attention. "Of course. You can tell me anything, you know that." With trembling hands, Martin unzipped the bag and pulled out a small makeup palette. I've been experimenting with this. In private. For a while now." Josue's eyes widened, but he remained silent, letting Martin continue. "I've always felt different, like I was playing a role that didn't quite fit. And lately, I've been wondering if maybe I'm not really Martin. Maybe I'm someone else entirely." There was a long moment of silence, broken only by the distant sounds of music from a neighboring room. Then, to Martin's surprise, Josue began to laugh, not mockingly, but with a sense of relief and joy. "Oh my God," Josue said, wiping away tears. "I can't believe this. I've been feeling the exact same way. I just didn't know how to bring it up." Martin stared in disbelief. "Really? You too?" Josue nodded, reaching out to squeeze Martin's hand. "I've known for a while that I don't feel like Josue, but I've been too scared to say anything."
"So, what do we do now?"
Martin asked, a mix of excitement and trepidation in his voice. "We figure it out together," Josue replied firmly. "Starting with that makeup palette. Want to give me a makeover?" Martin's face split into a wide grin. "Only if you return the favor." For the next few hours, they experimented with eyeshadow and lipstick, laughing at their clumsy attempts and marveling at the transformations. As the night wore on, they talked about names, identity, and the terrifying yet exhilarating path that lay ahead. I think I want to be Alaya," Josue said softly, admiring his reflection in a small mirror. "It means joyful in Basque. That's how I feel right now." Martin nodded, a thoughtful expression on his newly made-up face. "I like that. For me, I'm thinking Rose. Simple, classic, fresh start." "Alaya and Rose," Alaya repeated, testing the names. "I like the sound of that." As the semester progressed, Alaya and Rose began to slowly embrace their true selves. They scoured thrift stores for feminine clothing, building their wardrobes piece by piece. YouTube tutorials became their constant companions as they learned the intricacies of makeup application and hairstyling. One Saturday afternoon, they huddled in Rose's dorm room, surrounded by a chaotic array of clothes and accessories. Rose held up a floral sundress, her expression uncertain. "I don't know, Alaya. Isn't this a bit much for my first time going out, as me?" Alaya shook her head emphatically. "No way. It's perfect. You'll look amazing. But what if people stare or say something?" "Then I'll be right there with you," Alaya reassured her. "We're in this together, remember?" Rose took a deep breath and nodded. "You're right. Okay, let's do this." They spent the next hour getting ready, fussing over each other's hair and makeup. When they finally stood side by side in front of the full-length mirror, both gasped. "Oh my God!" Rose breathed. "Is that really us?" Alaya nodded, tears welling in her eyes. "It is. It's really us." Hand in hand, they stepped out into the world, hearts pounding, but spirits soaring. They walked across campus to a small cafe, hyper-aware of every glance in their direction. To their relief, most people barely gave them a second look. As they settled into a corner booth with their coffees, Rose let out a shaky laugh. "We did it! We're actually doing this!" Alaya raised her mug in a toast. To being ourselves, no matter what. The rest of the semester flew by in a whirlwind of classes, late-night study sessions, and increasingly confident forays into public as their true selves. They supported each other through the nerve-wracking process of coming out to friends and family, celebrating the victories and comforting each other through the setbacks. As winter break approached, Alaya and Rose found themselves facing a new challenge, returning home to their small towns for the holidays. They met in their favorite coffee shop the day before departure, both radiating nervous energy. "I don't know if I can do this," Rose admitted, clutching her mug tightly. "My parents, they're trying to be supportive, but I can tell they don't really understand. And the rest of the town, they're going to eat me alive." Alaya reached across the table to take Rose's hand. "Hey, look at me. You are strong. You are beautiful. And you are not alone. We'll text every day, okay? And if things get too rough, you come straight back here. My door is always open." Rose managed a weak smile. "Thanks. I don't know what I'd do without you." "Same here," Alaya replied softly. "We've got this. And just think, in a few weeks we'll be back here, starting a whole new semester as our true selves." The weeks apart were challenging, but Alaya and Rose found strength in their daily conversations and the knowledge that they had each other's unwavering support. When they reunited on campus in January, it was with fierce hugs and tears of joy. "God, I missed you," Rose said, wiping her eyes carefully to avoid smudging her mascara. "Ready to take on sophomore year?" Alaya linked her arm through Rose's. "With you by my side, I'm ready for anything." As they settled back into campus life, Alaya and Rose found themselves becoming unexpected mentors to other students questioning their gender identity. They started a support group, sharing their experiences and offering guidance on everything from makeup techniques to navigating the legal aspects of transition. One evening, as they prepared for a group meeting, Rose paused in the middle of arranging chairs. "Can you believe how far we've come? This time last year, we were both so lost and confused." Alaya nodded, a warm smile spreading across her face. "And now look at us, living authentically, helping others. It's more than I ever dared to hope for." "We make a pretty good team," Rose said, bumping Alaya's shoulder playfully. "The best," Alaya agreed. As students began to filter into the room, Alaya and Rose exchanged a look of pride and determination. They had found themselves, found each other, and now they were ready to help others on their own journeys of self-discovery. The support group meetings quickly became a highlight of their week. Alaya and Rose watched with joy as shy, uncertain individuals blossomed into confident young women and men, embracing their true selves. They organized workshops on voice training, held makeup tutorials, and created a clothing swap program to help students build their new wardrobes. One particularly memorable meeting focused on the art of walking in heels. The room echoed with laughter as students wobbled and tottered, clinging to each other for support. "Remember, it's all in the hips," Alaya called out, demonstrating a graceful strut across the room. "Heel to toe, heel to toe," Rose clapped encouragingly. "You've got this. Just pretend you're walking on a straight line." A petite freshman named Mia groaned as she stumbled for the third time. "I'm hopeless. I'll never get this right." Alaya knelt beside her, helping her back to her feet. "Hey, none of that talk. You should have seen me when I first started. I looked like a newborn giraffe on roller skates." This elicited a giggle from Mia. "Really? Oh, yeah," Rose chimed in. "We've got the video evidence to prove it." "The point is," Alaya continued, "practice makes perfect. And more importantly, there's no one right way to be a woman. If heels aren't your thing, that's okay too. The most important thing is that you feel comfortable and confident in your own skin." Mia nodded, a determined look crossing her face. "Okay, let me try again." As the group cheered Mia on, Rose caught Alaya's eye and mouthed a silent, "Thank you." Alaya responded with a wink and a blown kiss. Outside of their support group activities, Alaya and Rose continued to navigate their own journeys. They celebrated milestones together: first hormone treatments, legal name changes, coming out to extended family members. They also supported each other through the inevitable rough patches, bouts of dysphoria, encounters with less than accepting individuals, the occasional crisis of confidence. One crisp autumn day in their junior year, they decided to treat themselves to a spa day to celebrate surviving midterms. As they lounged in fluffy robes, waiting for their facials, Rose turned to Alaya with a thoughtful expression. "Do you ever wonder where we'd be if we hadn't literally run into each other that first week of freshman year?" Alaya considered the question. "Honestly, I try not to think about it. The idea of going through all of this alone, it's terrifying." Rose nodded in agreement. "I know what you mean. You've been my rock through all of this. My sister in all but blood." "Oh, you're going to make me cry and ruin my sheet mask," Alaya teased, but her eyes were suspiciously bright. "I mean it," Rose insisted. "I don't think I would have had the courage to transition without you. You've taught me so much, not just about makeup and clothes, but about being true to myself, about standing up for what I believe in." Alaya reached out to squeeze Rose's hand. "Right back at you, sis. You've shown me what real strength looks like, and you've got an eye for fashion that I can only dream of." They lapsed into comfortable silence, each lost in thoughts of how far they'd come and the journey still ahead. As they approached their senior year, Alaya and Rose faced new challenges. The looming reality of postgraduate life brought with it a host of questions and concerns. How would they navigate the job market as trans women? Would they find workplaces that were truly inclusive and accepting? They threw themselves into research, reaching out to LGBTQ+ alumni for advice and attending every career workshop they could find. Their support group expanded to include sessions on professional development and workplace rights. One evening, as they pored over job listings in their favorite coffee shop, Rose let out a frustrated sigh. "Sometimes I wonder if it would be easier to just not disclose, to try and pass as CIS in the workplace." Alaya looked up from her laptop, her expression serious. "That's a valid choice if it's what feels right to you. But remember why we started our support group in the first place. Visibility matters. Every time we live openly and authentically, we make it a little easier for those who come after us." Rose nodded slowly. "You're right, of course. It's just scary, you know. We've been in this little bubble of acceptance on campus. The real world seems a lot less forgiving." "Then we'll change it," Alaya said firmly. "One mind at a time if we have to. Together." As they continued their job search, Alaya and Rose also found themselves reflecting on their personal growth. They'd come so far from those first tentative experiments with makeup in a cramped dorm room. One lazy Sunday afternoon, they decided to recreate those early makeover sessions for old time's sake. Sprawled on the floor of their shared apartment, surrounded by a much more impressive collection of cosmetics, they took turns applying each other's makeup. "Oh God, do you remember how awful we were at this?" Rose laughed, carefully blending eyeshadow on Alaya's lid. "I think I stabbed you in the eye at least twice that first time." Alaya grinned, trying to hold still. "And I made you look like a raccoon with that eyeliner. We've come a long way, baby." As they worked, they swapped stories and memories, marveling at how much had changed in just a few short years. "Remember that first time we went out in dresses?" Alaya asked. "I was so sure everyone was staring at us." Rose nodded, adding a swipe of blush to Alaya's cheeks. "Now look at us. I can't remember the last time I even thought about whether I pass or not." "That's because you're gorgeous, darling," Alaya said with a wink. "Flatterer," Rose replied, but she was beaming. "Seriously, though, it's not just about looks. It's confidence, you know? I feel comfortable in my own skin now. That's worth more than any perfect makeup application." "Preach," Alaya agreed. "Okay, my turn to work my magic on you. Close your eyes." As Alaya carefully applied eyeshadow, she found herself getting a bit misty-eyed. "You know, Rose, I don't think I've ever properly thanked you." "For what?" Rose asked, eyes still closed. "For everything. For being there from the very beginning. For holding my hand through the scary parts and celebrating the victories. For teaching me that being a woman isn't about fitting into some narrow definition, but about embracing all the different ways we can express ourselves." Rose opened her eyes, careful not to smudge the fresh makeup. "Oh, Alaya, you don't have to thank me for that. We've been on this journey together every step of the way."
"I know,"
Alaya said softly. But sometimes I think about how lucky I am to have found you. My best friend, my sister, my partner in crime.
Now who's going to ruin their makeup?
Rose teased, but she pulled Alaya into a tight hug.
I love you too, you big sap.
As their senior year drew to a close, Alaya and Rose found themselves facing the bittersweet reality of graduation. They'd secured jobs in the same city, Alaya with a progressive tech startup, Rose with a publishing house known for its diverse authors, but the thought of leaving the safety of their college bubble was daunting. The night before graduation, they stayed up late, reminiscing about their college years and dreaming about the future. As the first hints of dawn began to color the sky, Rose turned to Alaya with a mischievous glint in her eye.
Hey, want to do something crazy?
Alaya raised an eyebrow.
Always. What did you have in mind?
Rose grinned.
Let's go for a walk, right now, in our full graduation regalia.
Alaya's face lit up.
Yes. Oh my God, yes. Let's do it.
They quickly donned their caps and gowns, giggling like children as they snuck out of their apartment. The campus was eerily quiet as they strolled arm in arm, their heels clicking on the empty sidewalks. It's so strange to think we won't be students here anymore, Alaya mused as they passed the library where they'd spent countless hours studying. Rose nodded.
I know, but think of all the adventures we have ahead of us. New city, new jobs, new people to educate about trans issues.
Speaking of which, Alaya said, I've been thinking, what if we started a YouTube channel, share our experiences, give advice to other trans folks just starting their journeys? Rose's eyes widened.
Alaya, that's brilliant. We could reach so many people that way.
And think of all the makeup tutorials we could do, Alaya added with a wink. As they rounded a corner, they found themselves in front of the student center where they'd first collided 4 years ago. Without a word, they stopped, both lost in the memory of that fateful meeting.
I can't believe how much has changed since that day,
Rose said softly.
How much we've changed.
Alaya squeezed her hand. And yet, in all the ways that really matter, we're still the same. 2 friends, supporting each other, ready to take on the world.
Always,
Rose agreed. As the sun began to rise, casting a golden glow over the campus, Alaya and Rose stood hand in hand, their graduation robes fluttering in the gentle breeze. They'd started this journey as 2 lost freshmen, unsure of their place in the world. Now they stood as confident women, ready to embrace whatever challenges lay ahead.
Well, future YouTube star,
Alaya said with a grin.
Shall we go get ready to graduate?
Rose laughed, linking her arm through Alaya's.
Lead the way, partner. We've got a whole new world waiting for us.
As they walked back to their apartment, Alaya and Rose knew that whatever the future held, they would face it together, just as they had every step of their college journey. From those first tentative explorations of identity to the confident women they'd become, they'd supported each other, learned from each other, and grown together.
Thanks for watching, my girlies. Be sure to check out Patreon for more.